Southampton ended the season off fantastically, so much so that the final Manager of the Month award went to Ralph Hasenhüttl. So how has he changed Southampton? How has he transformed them into a great team to watch in the Premier League? With some players joining already and with some more exciting names linked, how far up the table will they be looking to push for next season? The 19-20 season hasn't been brilliant for Southampton all the way through. It started poorly. In the very first game, they lost 3-0 away to Burnley, with all 3 goals coming in the space of 12 minutes. These type of results continued in the first few months of the season, conceding 3 at home to Bournemouth and losing 3-1 and another 4 at home to Chelsea. This then led to the record-breaking home defeat, 9-0 to Leicester City on October the 25th. A month later, they still hadn't bounced back and won a game, which meant they sat second bottom in the league, 4 points off 17th, with relegation a possibility if they didn't change their form around by Christmas. But that was exactly what they were able to do. From November the 30th to the last day of 2020, Southampton played 7 games and they were 5th in the form table, getting 4 wins, a draw and 2 losses. And on New Year's Day, they started 2020 with a 1-0 win over Tottenham, meaning that they jumped to 12th in the league table. Towards the end of November, Ralph changed the formation. Before the 2-2 draw against Arsenal, they were switching formation and more often than not playing with 3 at the back. In the 2-1 defeat to City, they would struggle when defending on the wings. Both goals came from crosses in the wide areas and nobody was able to deal with the opposition in these areas. The first goal was on the right side with Bernardo Silva on the ball. Southampton's defence of 5 line up in the box attempting to make it compact for City's forwards, with central midfielder Armstrong nearest to Bernardo Silva. As the defensive line is too deep, Aguero drops back to find space and taps in the low cross with no Southampton defender being in a position to intercept the pass. The second goal was on the opposite side with Angelino for City and Danso was at right back. He didn't close into Angelino enough, which meant he could get in the cross. Southampton made it hard for themselves, with 3 centre-backs not being effective and sitting deeper when out of possession, with the wing-backs coming deeper into a back 5. This is where the formation change came in and Hasenhüttl started with a 4-2-2. It made an impact straight away. Let's compare the 2-1 loss to Everton on November 9th to Southampton's 3-1 win against Watford on November 30th. Against Everton, the Saints made 6 interceptions and won 12 tackles, poor statistics that show they struggled getting the ball from opposition players. Using the 3-4-3, they didn't put Everton under enough pressure when in their own half, and as such, Southampton only made 1 interception in Everton's half. However, in the Watford game, the 4-4-2 allowed Southampton to take advantage of a weak Watford team and make 4 interceptions in the opposition half, as well as winning 5 tackles. Hasenhüttl has got this hard pressing working very effectively. In the 1-0 win against Manchester City, we saw Adams and Ings make a tackle each, along with Ings making an interception. The midfield partnership of Ward-Prowse and Romeu were able to make 11 interceptions, making it very tough for City to get through the middle of the pitch. And then, against Manchester United, Adams made 2 tackles and Ings with 1, and the same midfield partnership made 5 interceptions. We can see how effective Southampton are at pressurising the opposition by looking at the players in the top 20 of the most successful pressures. Southampton have 4 players in the top 20, more than any other club, proving that yes, they play a high pressing game, but they are effective with it. Ward-Prowse is the highest in 2nd place with 244, Danny Ings in 7th with 227, which shows how Ralph has the strikers pressing high. In 12th is Højbjerg with 212 and 18th is Nathan Redmond with 193. In attack, Southampton have improved by attacking quickly, with players running at the defence, making runs and giving options to the ball carrier. This creates a difficult scenario for the opposition defence, as it becomes quite messy following all the runs from the Southampton players, and this leads to space being created for Southampton players to move into. As teammates run into one position, space opens up behind them, therefore meaning it can be taken advantage of. A good example of this came in one of the last games of the season versus Bournemouth, where Southampton were able to win 2-0. It started with Walker-Peters pressing Stanislas, who was about to receive the ball. He was able to intercept the ball and change the game for the Saints. He sparked the counter-attack by playing a pass forward to Shane Long, who drifted onto the right flank. Walker-Peters continued his run all the way into the box, and it was Bournemouth's number 8 Lerma who followed him. This meant that Armstrong was in the space that Walker-Peters had created. Armstrong patted it first time on the left again to Redmond, who keeps the quick tempo going with a pass to Danny Ings. This is where he kept the ball and players around him made runs. Bertrand on the overlap and Redmond running deep into the box meant that it opened up space on the right for Ings to move into. And from there, Ings works his magic with a fantastic finish in the bottom right corner, a Southampton goal that shows pressing and intercepting, a fast transition and runs to create space for others. others. Another good goal was against Everton in July, where Walker-Peters was able to dribble past Gomez and then flick the ball past Davies. Ward-Prowse was lucky to keep the ball but got it to Romeo, and he kick-started the attack with a one-touch pass into Armstrong to take Southampton into the final third. Armstrong runs at the defence along with Redmond, Ings and Adams. It was Ings who made a good run into the penalty area, cleverly kept the ball and took it past Pickford to tap the ball in the net. This goal was a good example of Southampton running at the defence as they enter the final third. And with the eye for goal that Danny Ings has, he makes runs into the right areas where he can score goals, and this is what has been crucial for Southampton. It's okay for Southampton to put this kind of pressure on opposition teams as they attack, but if the quality to score the goals isn't there, then it's not going to be effective. But this hasn't been a problem for the Saints in the 19-20 season. Ings bagged 22 goals in the league, which puts him joint second. Since the restart, Ings was able to score 7 and assist once, making him a huge part of their success, only losing one game in that time. Alongside Ings, they've switched between Obafemi, Long and last year's summer signing Che Adams. Adams really struggled at the beginning of his Southampton career, and it wasn't until the Manchester City game at the start of July when he scored his first goal for the club. But from there, he was able to finish the season very well. He scored another in the penultimate game of the season against Bournemouth and then 2 against Sheffield United on the final game. Both of his goals versus Sheffield United showed good anticipation. The first goal being quick off his mark to get on the end of a pass, one touch and a quick shot finds the back of the net. For the second, he was waiting for the ball to be played in front of him in the box. Walker-Peters went for a shot instead, but when it was blocked, Adams picked up the loose ball and was able to get a fast shot away to make it 3-1. Even if that goal was lucky, he was in the right position in the first place to call for the pass, reacted well to the loose ball and finished well with power. If he can take this confidence and a first season of knowledge, knowing what the Premier League is like now, he can form a fantastic partnership with Danny Ings. Scoring 4 in his last 6 games, the goal next season for Adams should be to get into double figures, score at least 10 in a season. Then Southampton will find themselves with a brilliant strike partnership and they won't be short of goals going into next season. As they move closer to mid-September though, all eyes and focus is on recruitment and how they can improve on the squad they currently have. One position they were looking to improve last summer window was centre-back, and they were only able to bring in Kevin Danso, a loan from Augsburg. After that loan has ended, they've looked straight away at bringing in somebody permanently, and it's Mohamed Salisu from Real Valladolid who has joined. The 21-year-old broke through into the first team at the Spanish club this season, playing over 2,700 minutes, opting to go for a younger player that has shown good potential in the La Liga over the course of the season. At 6'2", he looks a solid prospect with room to develop, a brave player getting advantage from his height. A transfer that improves their back line with a player that can only get better in the Premier League. In my previous video, I discussed one player that could join each team in the Premier League. For Southampton, it was Weston McKennie, and the links of him are still around. According to reports, the American midfielder has made it clear that he wants to leave Schalke, and Southampton seems to be a likely destination. As I did discuss before, McKennie is a tireless midfielder that would be perfect in Hasenhüttl's pressing system because of his experience at Schalke doing the same thing. Another young player that Southampton can develop, which they have done so well in previous years. Salisu and McKennie would be 2 more players that they can look to turn into even better players. So a very respectable 11th place finish in the Premier League. Looking into next season then, what can Southampton look to achieve? Most importantly for them is nailing down on the tactics and continuing to do what they did towards the end of the season. The effective high press and fast transitions worked well, so the players need to get this right over the next 12 months. By finishing just outside of the top half, this is where they can look to push into the top 10 and challenging for the spaces Sheffield United and Burnley took up. To do this, I feel Southampton need to try and get the best from Che Adams. We saw glimpses of it, and the partnership could be what takes them into those higher positions and who knows where in the league table. They proved that they could win against Manchester City and defend with everything that they had. With this kind of commitment against bigger sides, could they push for a Carabao Cup? I think they have an outside chance of progressing in that competition, and maybe it's something they should look to do. With the past experience of being in the Europa League with RB Leipzig, Rolf will have the ambitions of getting back into the competition, and the Carabao Cup would be a good place to get into it in the 2020-21 season. Get involved in the comments or in my Discord server. Will Southampton finish in the top half? Will Southampton continue to impress next season? I recommend that you don't miss out on future videos. Subscribe to Route 1 and like the video if you did enjoy.